Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are doing something that I am genuinely excited about. We are stepping away from the corporate strategies, the tech breakthroughs, and the productivity hacks for just a moment.
A brief pause.
A brief pause. We are putting down the spreadsheets and picking up something a little heavier. We're stepping into the mud, the blood, and the salt spray of a world that I think a lot of people think they know.
Right. They've seen a version of it.
They've seen the glossy, high-definition version of it, but we're not doing that today.
We are going back to the source, the ink on the page.
Exactly. We are talking about The Witcher. But we aren't talking about the video games, the 4K graphics, and we aren't talking about the TV show with the big budgets. We are diving into the original short stories by Andrzej Sapkowski, specifically two narratives that I think they define the entire ethos of this universe. A little sacrifice and the sword of destiny.
And the mission today isn't just to, recount the plot. We aren't here to just list which monster Geralt killed and what potion he used. We want to look at the cost of a story.
The cost of a story. I like that.
Because if there is one thing this author does better than almost anyone else in the fantasy genre, it's deconstructing the fairy tale.
It's the anti-Disney approach.
It really is. It totally is. He takes the standard tropes, the mermaid who wants legs, the princess lost in the forest, and he strips away all the magic dust. He shows you the biology, the economics, and the brutal reality that comes after the happily ever after.
So, two settings today.
Two very distinct, very hostile environments. On one hand, we have the jagged, dangerous coast of Bremerford. You've got pearl divers, salty air, a very complicated romance.
And on the other,
we have Brokilon Forest, which is, it's essentially a death zone where humans go to get turned into pincushions.
And walking right through both of them is Geralt. Now, for the listener who maybe just knows the pop culture version, let's ground ourselves. Who is Geralt of Rivia strictly based on these texts? Because he feels a little different here than he does when you're controlling with a joystick.
Oh, he is so different. In the books, Geralt is a professional. That is the word that comes up constantly. He is a tradesman. He doesn't view himself as a superhero or some chosen one.
Not at all.
He views himself as an exterminator. He claims to be this emotionless, code-following, machine. He tells everyone, I'm a mutant, I have no feelings, I just have a silver sword and a rate card.
That's his favorite line. I'm a mutant. Is his shield, right?
It's absolutely a defense mechanism, because when you actually read these texts, you see a man who is constantly acting on moral impulses. He's always getting involved in things he claims he doesn't care about.
The classic reluctant hero.
Totally. He has the cat-like eyes, the elixirs, the two swords. Sure, all the cool stuff is there. But the internal software is painfully human. He's neurotic, he's philosophical, and honestly, he's often quite sad.
He's never alone, even when he wants to be. He's got Marigold.
The Bard. Now, most people know him as Dandelion from the games or the English translations, but in the original spirit, in some translations, he is Marigold. And honestly, the name fits. He is flowery. He is the perfect foil to Geralt's stone-cold stoicism.
Let's break down Marigold for a second, because he's not just comic relief, is he?
No. He's the PR agent. He's talkative. He's a womanizer. He's definitely cowardly when the swords come out. He will hide behind a bush.
Oh, absolutely.
But he is fiercely loyal, and he has this philosophy that ballads, they aren't about the truth. They're about moving people. He believes history is what you sing, not what actually happened.
And that tension between the history we sing about and the history that actually happens in the mud, that is the heartbeat of today's deep dive. So let's unpack this first story, A Little Sacrifice.
A little sacrifice. It sounds gentle, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds almost quaint.
But it's anything but.
It starts with a negotiation that is, frankly, absurd. We find Geralt of Rivia, the famous monster slayer, standing on a boat. But he's not holding a sword. He's leaning over the railing, making these chirping, whistling, and clicking noises into the water.
He's speaking the elder tongue. He's trying and failing to communicate with a mermaid.
He's been hired as a relationship counselor.
Essentially, yes. A translator and, couples therapist. He is the reluctant intermediary. He's been hired by Prince Agloval of Bremerford. And Agloval is madly in love with this mermaid, Shinaz.
But there's a problem.
There is a massive problem. It's a stalemate of biology.
Break down the conflict for us.
It's so simple but impossible. Agloval wants to marry her. He says he loves her, but he insists that she use magic to trade her tail for legs and live on land with him. He's even bought a potion for her. He's all ready to go.
Okay. And Shinaz?
Shinaz, on the other hand, thinks that's ridiculous. She loves him, but she insists that he should go to a sea witch, get a tail, and come live underwater with her.
It's the ultimate who moves to whose city argument, but with fins and gills.
Precisely, and neither of them will budge an inch. It gets so heated that Aglaval starts yelling at Geralt to translate insults. He says, "Tell her she's a cold mackerel. Tell her to go drown herself."
Which is a pretty ineffective insult for a mermaid.
It's terrible, but look at what's really happening here. It's obviously a satire of the Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid story, but it's also a deep look at arrogance.
Although
Aglaval claims to love her, but he refuses to compromise his own nature. He demands she fundamentally alter who she is, her biology, her home, her entire existence, to fit into his world. He views his world, the surface world, as superior, as the default.
it's that classic thing of, I love you, now change everything about yourself to suit me.
Exactly. And Shinaz calls him out on it. She says, love requires sacrifice, and she points out that she's been dragging herself up onto sharp rocks to see him, shredding her fins, risking dehydration. She's already making these painful physical sacrifices just to visit him.
And what's he doing?
He's just standing on the dry deck of his boat, demanding she do all the work. It's infuriating.
Now, while this romantic stalemate is happening, we get a glimpse into the economic reality of the Witcher's life. Why is Geralt even doing this job? Why is he chirping at a mermaid instead of, killing a griffin?
Because he is broke. And, destitute. This is something the books do so well that other media just glosses over. Geralt and Marigold are constantly starving, and in this case, it is entirely Marigold's fault.
Oh, of course it is. What did the bard do this time?
Well, they were at a festival previously, and Marigold, who has a bit of an ego and a very loose tongue, decided to perform. He saw a group of foresters, basically a local militia or a guild, and he decided to improvise a song. Oh, yes. The lyrics implied that if you want to be a cuckold, you should join the foresters.
Not a smart move.
Not a smart move at all. A massive brawl broke out. They were arrested. They were fined every penny they had, and they were unceremoniously kicked out of town.
So they arrive in Bremervord with nothing.
Nothing. No money. Hungry. Desperate for work. This is why Geralt takes the translator job. It's not about glory. It's about rent money. It's about getting a hot meal.
And this desperation leads them to a wedding feast. They are hired by a merchant named Teleri Druhard. Not to kill anything, but just to provide culture for his wife.
Right, they're the evening's entertainment.
And this is where the story shifts gears emotionally. Because at this wedding, we meet a character who I think really defines the tragedy of this story. S.E. Davin.
Lilai.
Let's paint a picture of her for the listener. Because she's not Yennefer. She's not this intimidating, powerful sorceress we might be used to.
No, she's a bard, just like Marigold. But she's different. She's young, maybe 18. She has this beautiful, fluffy golden hair, but she styles it so it covers one side of her face.
Why?
Because she wants to reveal just one stunning dark blue eye, hence the nickname Little Eye. And she smells of verbena.
Verbena. That's a very specific detail. Why does the scent matter so much?
Scent is huge in the Witcher lore. It's like a character's theme song. Yennefer, Geralt's primary chaotic love interest, smells of lilac and gooseberries. It's a heavy, complex, stormy scent.
And verbena is?
Verbena is fresh. It's herbal. It's light. It's simple. It represents a kind of normalcy and a sweetness that Geralt just isn't used to. It's uncomplicated.
And the dynamic with Geralt is, well, it's awkward at first.
It's prickly. Geralt is immediately rude to her. He's cynical. He's tired. And he sees her looking at him with this, curiosity. And he assumes she's staring the mutants.
He's on the defensive.
Totally. He thinks she's just fascinated by the monster hunter, the oddity. He's got all his walls up.
But it turns out she's fascinated by the man.
Which terrifies him. There's this scene on a balcony. They step out for some air, away from all the drunk guests at the wedding. The tension is palpable. And they kiss.
But the text describes it in such a complex way.
It's not a Hollywood kiss at all. Essie is stiff. She actually bends backward to avoid full body contact, even as she's kissing him passionately.
Why the hesitation? What's that about?
Because she's scared. She is falling for him hard and fast, but her instincts are just screaming that this is dangerous, that getting involved with this man will lead to pain. And Geralt, he kisses her back, but he immediately feels this wave of guilt.
A mistake?
He realizes he's made a huge mistake.
Why? Why a mistake?
Because he realizes she isn't looking for a fling. She's falling in love with him. And he is 100% emotionally unavailable. He is still completely, utterly hung up on Yennefer.
The lilac and gooseberries.
Exactly. Essie smells like verbena, but Geralt is addicted to the lilac and gooseberries. He feels guilty because he can't reciprocate the depth of feeling that Essie is offering. He likes her. He might even be really attracted to her, but he knows he can't give her his heart. It's already taken.
It's so tragic because Essie is just so transparent about it. She later confesses to him, crying that she loves him, and he just can't.
He can't. He offers her friendship, he offers her kindness, comfort, but he can't offer her love. And it's a very different kind of sacrifice, isn't it? It's sacrificing the potential for a normal, sweet, healthy love because you are bound to a chaotic, painful one.
While all this emotional drama is unfolding, the plot kicks back in. Aglovale has a real job for Geralt. People are disappearing.
Pearl divers. They are vanishing near a place called the Dragon's Teeth. These are volcanic rocks out in the bay.
And the suspicion.
Aglovale thinks it's a sea monster. The locals, however, they fear it is the mermaid Shinaz taking revenge for the failed romance.
Which Geralt dismisses.
Immediately. He knows Shinaz. She's stubborn, she's proud, but she's not a murderer. But he takes the job because, again, they're broke. And the investigation is fascinating because they have to wait for low tide.
Right, the tide goes out further than usual.
It reveals the seafloor. It's a walk into an alien world. Mud, slime, weird crabs scurrying everywhere. And Geralt and Marigold walk out there. Marigold is, of course, looking for pearls to steal from the giant oysters.
And Geralt is looking for danger.
Geralt is looking for answers. And what they find is, well, it's a mystery. Marigold finds a skull with a centipede inside it. Creepy stuff. But more importantly, they find steps.
Steps.
Marble stairs.
Yeah.
Leading down into the abyss.
Marigold gets all excited here, but he thinks it's the sunken city of use.
He's a bard. He's dreaming of legends and ballads, the bells of Wheeze ringing from the deep. He thinks he's found a mythical kingdom. But Geralt, the pragmatist, sees the reality. This isn't a human ruin.
It's something else.
It's an underwater civilization. Someone lives down there, and they are trespassing.
This is where the horror element kicks in. The bell.
An underwater bell tolls, a deep, resonant bong that you feel in your chest. And then the attack happens.
Brutal.
It's so brutal. These are aquatic humanoids fishmen. They have armor made of copper and bronze. They have these jagged, cruel-looking weapons. So this isn't a wild animal attack. This is a military strike. They are defending their city.
And Geralt is completely out of his element.
He is. He's a witcher, a master of the sword, but he relies on footwork, on pirouettes and speed. You can't do that in waist-deep water. The mud sucks at his boots. The waves are knocking him off balance.
And he's outnumbered.
Badly. He kills 2 of them, but he is overwhelmed. He's dragged down under the water.
The source text describes the panic so vividly. The salt water in his lungs, he thinks he's going to die. He's thinking about Yennefer, thinking about all his regrets.
And then salvation. Shinaz appears.
Riding a dolphin.
Riding a dolphin. It's this moment of pure high fantasy amidst all the grit and the mud. She charges into the fray. She speaks to the fishmen in their own language. She commands them to stop.
She saves them.
She saves them, essentially telling them, the ocean is not for humans. Get out.
So they survive. They limp back to shore. Geralt is wounded, and he has to report back to Aglovale. And this is where the theme of arrogance comes back with a vengeance.
Oh, it's incredible.
Because when Aglovale hears there is a sentient race down there, does he say, oh, we should respect their territory and open up diplomatic channels?
No. He says war. He wants to send archers on boats to kill them all so he can get his pearls. He sees a rival civilization, and his immediate thought is genocide for profit. It's the colonial mindset in a nutshell.
And Essie Davin Little Eye, she steps up here.
She does. She delivers this passionate, furious speech. She defends Geralt, who Aglovale is insulting for failing the mission, but she also just attacks Aglovale's greed. She tells him that the ocean is bigger than he can comprehend, and picking a fight with an unknown civilization is pure suicide. She shows incredible backbone.
But then comes the twist, the resolution to the romance.
Right. Just as Aglovale is fuming and planning his little war, the door to the hall opens, and Shinaz appears at the court. She walks in. She has legs, she's wearing a dress. While Aglovale was screaming about war and profit, she went to the Sea Witch, she sacrificed her tail, she sacrificed her voice's ability to speak freely, at least for a while, and her entire life in the ocean. She did exactly what Aglaval wanted from the very beginning.
She made the sacrifice.
She made the little sacrifice. And Aglaval is overjoyed. He runs to her. He completely forgets about the war. He forgets about the pearls. He gets the girl.
So the Little Mermaid trope plays out.
It does, but it feels uneasy. She had to, in essence, mutilate herself to be with him. It's presented as a happy ending for them, but from the outside, you just can't stop thinking about the cost.
And speaking of cost,
Yeah.
we have to talk about the ending of this story. The ballad versus the truth. This is the part that it hits the hardest.
It breaks your heart. So Geralt and Essie part ways. They have a final night where they talk. They are close, but they don't stay together. It's a sad, tender farewell. And Geralt gives her a gift.
The pearl.
A single blue pearl that they found during the investigation. A token of memory.
And Marigold, observing all of this, does what he does best.
He composes a ballad. He writes a ballad about a witcher and a bard who met by the sea and loved each other eternally. A beautiful, moving, perfect love story. The kind of story that makes people cry at weddings. It's the story the world wants to hear.
But the narrator, the source text, cuts in with the cold, hard truth.
Yeah. The truth is that Marigold never sang that ballad. Not once. And the reality was that Geralt and Essie never saw each other again.
Never.
Not once. 4 years later, Essie Davin died of smallpox during an epidemic in Wizima.
Smallpox. Not a dragon, not some glorious battle, a dirty, common disease.
She died alone. Marigold found her body. He carried her out of the city himself to avoid the mass graves where they were bumming the bodies. He buried her in the forest, and he buried her with 2 things, her lute.
And the blue pearl.
And the blue pearl Geralt gave her.
That distinction between the beautiful ballad Marigold wrote and the muddy grave in the forest, that is the core of the Witcher world, isn't it?
It is. It's the mission statement. A little sacrifice asks us, what is the value of the stories we tell versus the lives we actually live? The ballad offers comfort, but the truth offers dignity. Essie's life was short and tragic, but it was real.
Okay, let's unpack this. Hold that thought on the tragedy of reality, because we need to move to the second story, which takes that grim reality and cranks it up to 11. The Sword of Destiny. We are leaving the coast and entering Brokilon.
The death zone.
Describe Brokilon for us. This isn't just a forest. This isn't the kind of place you go for a pleasant hike.
No, it's a sovereign state of nature. It's an ancient primeval forest ruled by dryads, and their border policy is very, very simple. Whistling and tapping.
Which means...
It means you step into the forest. You hear a whistle from the trees. Then you hear a thwack as an arrow hits the tree trunk right next to your head. That's the tap. That is your one and only warning.
And if you don't heed it?
If you take one more step, the next arrow goes in your eye. No exceptions.
Geralt enters this forest. He's looking for something, or someone, and he finds bodies.
He finds fresh corpses, people who didn't listen to the warning, and amidst the bodies he finds an old acquaintance, Freixenet, a nobleman who is currently lying in a heap of roots with an arrow clean through his lung.
Freixenet is a bit of a character. He's got this backstory about being cursed into a cormorant.
Laughs. Yeah, it's a moment of levity. He was cursed by an ex-lover to be a bird, a cormorant of all things. Geralt broke the curse years ago, but Freixenet admits he still craves raw fish for breakfast sometimes.
It's these little details that make the world feel lived in.
Exactly. But right now Freixenet isn't laughing, he's dying. He entered Brokilon looking for a lost princess from a neighboring kingdom.
And this is where Geralt meets the dryads. He's surrounded.
3 of them just melt out of the trees,
Yeah.
camouflaged, painted, utterly deadly. And this encounter is so tense. Geralt knows the protocol. He drops his sword, he speaks their language, he identifies himself as Gwynbleidd the White Wolf.
And they know him.
They do. He's been there before. He has a history with their queen. But the leader of this patrol, Brain, is interesting. She's not a natural-born dryad.
She's human.
She was born human. She has honey-colored hair and blue eyes, unlike the olive skin of the other dryads. She was kidnapped as a child and assimilated. She has forgotten her human name. She has forgotten her family. She is a dryad now in every way that matters, except for her biology.
That's chilling.
It's a chilling look at how Brokilon survives. They don't just reproduce, they recruit by force.
Geralt manages to negotiate for Freixenet's life, at least temporarily. They're taking him to the Queen, Ithne. But on the way, the horror ramps up. They hear a scream.
A monster attack. A giant centipede Aguirre. It's huge, armored, a nightmare of legs and pincers, and it's attacking a child lost in the ferns.
And this is the introduction of Ciri.
The Ciri, the lion cub of Sintra. But she's not the warrior woman from the games yet, not by a long shot. She is a brat.
Oh, a total brat.
She's 10 years old, snotty-nosed, dressed in boys' clothes, and utterly, completely entitled.
She's hilarious in this text.
Geralt saves her life, bravely fighting this giant armored centipede, and her reaction is basically, "Don't touch me, you filthy commoner. I'm a princess."
But she threatens to have him beheaded. She says, "My grandmother is the queen, and she'll have your head cut off for that." And Geralt, who has zero patience for royalty, threatens to pull down her pants and spank her with his belt.
Laughs. It's such a grounded interaction. It's not destiny meeting destiny. It's a tired mutant dealing with a very difficult kid.
Exactly. But underneath that bratty exterior, we learn her backstory. She ran away. She was being sent to marry Prince Kistrin of Verdun, and she refused. She says Kistrin is stupid and smells bad.
Valid reasons for a 10-year-old. Absolutely. But think about the agency there. Even at 10, she rejected the path laid out for her by her powerful grandmother, Queen Calanthe. She ran into a literal forest of death rather than accept a marriage she didn't want. That's the spark of the Ciri we come to know. She refuses to let others write her story.
They have to travel deeper into the forest to get to Dwyn Canel, the Dryad capital.
Yeah.
And there's this quiet moment at night, the bedtime story. It's one of my favorite parts of the text because it says so much about Geralt's philosophy.
It's pivotal. Ciri demands a bedtime story because she can't sleep. Geralt, claiming he doesn't know any happy stories, improvises. He tells a story about a cat and a fox.
And it's not a nice story.
It's deeply cynical. In the story, the fox brags to the cat, "I have a bag of tricks. I have 100 ways to escape the hunters." The cat says, "I only have one trick. I climb a tree."
Simple.
Simple. Then the hunters come. The dogs are barking. The cat immediately climbs the tree. Safe. The fox tries to use his 100 clever tricks, gets confused, gets caught, and, as Geralt puts it, is turned into a muff. A hand warmer. It's brutal. Ciri is horrified. She asks what the moral is.
And Bran, the Dryad, chimes in.
Bran says, "That was a good story. The moral is you should have climbed the tree." It shows the Dryad mindset, too. Complexity gets you killed. Arrogance gets you killed. Survival is about identifying the one thing that works, the tree, and doing it without hesitation. It's Geralt's worldview in a nutshell. The world is cruel, and being fancy gets you killed.
So they arrive at Dwyn Canel, and we meet Ithne, the silver-eyed queen.
She is terrifying. She is ancient. She sits on a throne of living wood, and she hates humans with a cold, calculated passion. She views humanity as a disease, a virus that destroys nature.
And honestly, looking at how humans act in this world,
Fidana has a point.
we find out what happens to Froixine here.
Yeah.
And it is disturbing.
It is. Froixine thinks he's going to be kept as a guest, maybe a romantic prisoner in a forest full of women. He's got this fantasy in his head. But Geralt explains the grim reality. The Dryads are all female. They need biological fathers to reproduce. Froixine is strong, he's healthy, he is breeding stock.
He's a utility.
He is completely objectified. Once he serves his purpose, he'll be discarded. It completely flips the script on how women are often treated in these medieval-style settings. Here, the man is just a biological resource. Ithne doesn't care about his personality or his title. She just needs his genetics.
But the main conflict is over Ciri. Ithne wants to keep her.
She wants to turn Ciri into a Dryad, just like she did with Bran. Erase her memory, erase her humanity, and make her a guardian of the forest. Another soldier for her army.
Geralt argues against this. He invokes destiny.
He argues that Ciri has a life to return to, a fate to fulfill. But Ithne doesn't care about human fate, so she offers a test. The water of Brooklyn.
What does it do?
It's a magical substance that erases memory and severs the bond to the human world. It's what they used on Bran. The deal is, if Ciri drinks it and forgets, she stays. If she drinks it and remembers, well, that's never happened before.
The tension in the room must be massive. Ciri drinks the water.
And Ithne watches her, expecting the eyes to glaze over for the humanity to just drain away. But Ciri blinks. She looks around and she looks at Geralt and says, "I want to go with you."
The water didn't work?
It didn't work. It had no effect. Why? Because Ciri is a child of destiny. She is immune to the magic because her fate is already written. It's too powerful. She's bound to Geralt.
We should probably explain the law of surprise connection here for anyone who doesn't know.
Right. Years ago, Geralt saved Ciri's father, Dunny, from a curse. As a reward, he invoked the law of surprise. Give me that which you have but do not know. That turned out to be Ciri, who was in her mother's womb, but unknown to her father at the time.
And Geralt tried to run from that.
He did. He never went to Sintra to collect her. He wanted nothing to do with destiny. But here he is, in the middle of a forbidden forest, and destiny has literally dropped her into his lap. You can't outrun it.
Ethne realizes she can't fight this.
She's wise enough to know when she's been beaten by a higher power, she lets them go. And as they leave the forest, Geralt carrying Ciri on his back, Ciri asks him what Gwynvlide means. He tells her it means white wolf. And you get the sense that Geralt has been trying to run away from this for so long, but he just walked right into the heart of a deadly forest and found it waiting for him anyway.
So what does this all mean? If we look at these two stories side by side, we have two very different types of monsters.
Right. In the first story, the monsters are the fish people. But were they really monsters? They have a city, they have art, culture, they were defending their territory. The real aggression came from Aglaval, the human prince, who wanted to wipe them out for pearls.
And in the second story,
the dryads are killers. They will shoot children in the eye if they cross an invisible line. But they are protecting the last sanctuary of nature against human expansion. Humans are cutting down the world. The dryads are holding the line. They're ruthless, but you understand why.
And Geralt is stuck right in the middle of it all.
That's the tragedy of the Witcher. He belongs to neither side. He refuses to kill the fish people for Aglaval. He refuses to kill the dryads for the King of Verdun. He sees the nuance, he sees the gray area, and because of that, he suffers. He's the eternal neutral party, and usually the neutral party gets hated by everyone.
Let's talk about the theme of sacrifice. It's in the title of the first story, but it's everywhere in both, isn't it?
It is. Shinaz sacrifices her tail and her voice for love. It's a physical mutilation for the sake of connection.
And S.E. Davin.
She sacrifices her pride. She confesses her love to a man who can't love her back. And ultimately, she sacrifices her life to a plague, staying in a dying city to help others. Her sacrifice is quiet, and nobody writes a ballad about it.
And Geralt, what does he sacrifice?
Geralt sacrifices his peace. He could have walked away from Ciri. He absolutely could have walked away from the mermaid problem. But his code, his morality, forces him to intervene. He sacrifices his own comfort, his own safety to do the right thing, even when he claims he's just a mutant who works for money.
And destiny. How does that play against sacrifice?
That's the counterweight, isn't it? In A Little Sacrifice, destiny feels cruel and random. S.E. dies for no reason. It's just cosmic bad luck. But in Sword of Destiny, destiny is this unstoppable gravitational force. It pulls Ciri and Geralt together like magnets, no matter how hard they try to resist.
It raises a really important question for the listener. In a world like this, where destiny seems to force people onto specific paths, like Ciri being the chosen one or Geralt being the Witcher, is sacrifice actually a choice?
That's the provocative thought, isn't it? Did Shinaz truly choose to lose her tail, or was she compelled by a biological destiny of love she couldn't control? Did Geralt choose to save Ciri in that forest? Or was the law of surprise just pulling his strings all along?
Maybe sacrifice is just the price of admission.
Exactly. It's the entry fee for playing the role fate assigned you. You don't get to choose if you sacrifice, only what you sacrifice. Are you the cat climbing the tree, making the simple, effective sacrifice? Or are you the fox, trying to be clever and sacrificing everything?
That is a heavy thought to leave on. These are not Disney stories. The mermaid gets the prince but loses herself. The princess isn't sleeping. She's running for her life. And the hero.
The hero ends up broke, wounded, and alone, wondering if he did the right thing.
But he keeps going. And maybe that's the point.
Knowledge is the best weapon against the monsters in the dark. Whether those monsters are centipedes, fishmen, or just the heartbreak of a ballad that was never true.
Well said. That's it for this deep dive into The Witcher's source material. We'll be back next time with something probably less likely to give you an existential crisis, but no promises.
No promises.
Thanks for listening.